Welcome to 60 Goblins and One Brush with the second part of the complete ultimate guide to AOS lore from the very beginning. The first part was from the year minus 15,000 when the old ones arrived to Malekith. This is from Malekith to Sigmar, all happening still in the old world. We'll come to the age of Sigmar later. Malekith is now called the Witchking, meaning he is evil now. After he recovered from the searing flames, he tried to take back the crown once more. This time, again by the crazy advice of his mother Morethi, he tries to disrupt the vortex. The plan is to free some demons this way, bind them, command them, control them, and with their help to reconquer Ulthuan and the Phoenix Throne. Not surprisingly, this mad plan doesn't work. Not because of the demons, which of course they could not have controlled, or the vortex, which they would probably not have repaired afterwards, but because Kalador and his archmages are still living in the vortex as ghosts, guarding it and holding the magic fabric together. You can check out my Kalador video for that. Okay. Yet, the vortex is disrupted for a bit, and half of Ulthuan sinks into the sea. This is called the Sundering. Both land and people are torn apart. The elves split into two or actually three groups. Henceforth, the followers of Malekith were called Dark Elves and settled in the far west in the new world between Lustria, where the Slan, the lizard men, lived, in the south, and the Chaos Wastes in the north. The second group is called the High Elves. They remain in Ulthuan. And then there's a third group who doesn't want to have to do anything with politics, and they go to the east, to the old world where the dwarves and humans dwell, and they call themselves the Wood Elves and are rediscovered much later. About 220 years later, 2500 before Sigmar, Nehekara is founded, the first human civilization in the very south of the old world. Yeah? Before Nehekara, there were just wild tribes of human beings, no civilizations. Another 40 years later, Setra, later called the Imperishable, proclaimed himself High King of all Nehekara in the city of Khemri. Setra was obsessed with the idea of dying prematurely, so he started a death cult called Mortuary Cult. And when he finally died, he was embalmed and prepared for eternity and interred in the first pyramid in the first necropolis. Little did he know that he would indeed come back later in some sort of life, summoned by Nagash. Nagash was born 260 years after Setra. In the year 200 before Sigmar, in the year 2000 before Sigmar, he was born as the second son of the High King of Nehekara. Please watch my Nagash video for more details about that. Yeah, he's 2,000 years older than Sigmar. Around the same time, the War of the Beard began. The elves and dwarf battled and decimated each other for more than 200 years and were both reduced to a fraction of their original size. The elves even more because of the never-ending civil war between the High Elves and the Dark Elves. One Dark Elf ship during that war crashed on Nehekaran shores, and the captured survivors were gifted to the High King. Nagash appropriates them and learns magic from them, forces them to teach magic, very dark magic, and then he secretly founds his own cult, hoping to find the recipe for immortality, which he kind of does find. Around the same time, the Dragon Emperor of Cathai founds the first human empire in the Far East. 400 years later, there's a rebellion in Nehekara. Nagash is High King by now, and he and his followers are still alive, 400 years old. So everyone else knows there's something strange, something unnatural, freaky going on here, and there's a big civil war. Nagash is mortally wounded while he tries to squash the rebellion and flees to the north. There he discovers Warpstone and the Skaven him. And when the Skaven surface, they have already tunneled through the whole planet basically and emerge everywhere at once, especially in Lustria where they fight the Lizardman, now Seraphon. Nagash creates the first ghouls and forges his crown and armor imbued with magic and warpstone. Well, everyone thinks he's dead, and there's no high king in Nehekara for a long time. The Queen of Lamia, one of the most prosperous cities of Nehekara, captures Arkan the Black and some of Nagash's books in the ruins of Khemri, of haunted Khemri. The Queen Neferata wants to discover Nagash's secret of eternal life and forces Arkan to help her. She partly succeeds in discovering the serum, but there's one major flaw in the recipe, and she becomes the first vampire. She's the mother of all vampires. Around that time, the decimated elves leave the old world and return to Ulthuan. Some dwarven mountain cities collapse because the Slan, in their megalomania, try to rearrange the tectonic plates. And everywhere, greenskins and Skaven raid human and dwarven cities, and the dwarves even have to deal with another threat, the trolls. About 1,200 years before Sigmar, when Nagash is 800 years old, he is killed by the first time by a combined effort of Nehekara and Skaven. 200 years later, the year 1000 before Sigmar, the Bretonnian civilization starts, next to the hidden Wood Elf kingdom in the northwest of the Old World. Another 200 years later, the chaos invasions start again from the north, both against humans and dark elves. And orcs and goblins conquer many dwarven cities. 650 before Sigmar, you notice I cannot avoid dates anymore. The gaps get shorter and shorter. The dwarven Slayer cult is founded, and the most famous member of that will be later Godric. Around that time, the first Ghoul King arises, and a huge war breaks out between orcs and Skaven. So basically, everyone at this point is killing everyone else. Warhammer style. 40 years before the human year 0, Nagash is reborn, 1,111 years after his death, but his Nehekaran subjects and lands people refuse to bow to him and continue to follow Setra instead. So there's another big war again between Nagash and Setra. He creates the Morghasts, and of course the Skaven play a role in the whole fight as well. Nagash seems to have a very bad Skaven karma to this very day. Usually the Skaven are to blame for anything, or the Dark Elves, or Manfred, one of those three. Now finally, 30 years before the year 0, Sigmar is born as the son of a human chieftain. He quickly becomes more famous by killing all kinds of monsters, and with 15 years only he befriends the dwarves, who create for him his famous mighty hammer, Galmaraz. And in the year 1, Sigmar is crowned the first king of the Reich, the first emperor of the Reich. So the empire is founded in the year 1 of human time counting. A few decades later, Sigmar kills Nagash, this being Nagash's second death. Afterwards, Sigmar vanishes mysteriously on one of his adventures, and in the year 73 after Zero, after Sigmar, after the founding of the Reich, after his coronation, Sigmar is declared a god and the cult of Sigmar is founded. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Just in time, 10 minutes. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so that you're notified for the third part of this amazing lore series.